I ended up as a rookie on the Empress's personal guard, a glorified human shield, a job that mostly involved standing still and screaming internally. Empress Alexandria Thorne, the tyrant, doodles on state documents like a bored teenager. Assassins are here, and she's charging it herself? What am I even getting paid for? Then came the day an assassin's blade nearly found its mark. I tackled her, thinking, damn, she is a tiny waste. Be a real shame if she died. The Empress suddenly gripped my chin, her voice a low whisper in my ear. I agree. A terrible shame. Later, a rival kingdom sent a ridiculously handsome prince as a gift. I was having a mental meltdown. Run. For the love of God, he's a spy. The Empress burst out laughing mid-courtesy. Drag him out and execute him. He's hideous. When a 3-year drought brought the empire to its knees, the ministers begged her to perform a ritual for rain. I was fuming. Praying is useless. Dig an irrigation canal, you idiots. She threw off her imperial robes. Everyone grab a shovel. We're digging a canal. One night, she got drunk and pinned me against her desk. Ethan, she slurred, her breath warm on my neck. Your thoughts are so loud, I can't sleep. I was terrified. Your Majesty, I'll shut up. She just laughed, a sound like shattering crystal. I'm giving you permission to be loud for the rest of your life. Empress Alexandria Thorne ruled the Ethelgard Empire. The throne was cold, the crown heavy. She was used to the solitude, the constant suspicion, until one night she started hearing a voice. The voice of the young guard who stood silently by her side. A voice that exploded inside her head. And from that day on, the stern, formidable Empress found it harder and harder to keep a straight face. The night breeze carried the cloying scent of the Imperial Garden's last blooms into the sovereign sanctum. The candlelight danced, casting flickering shadows on Empress Alexandria's face as she stared down at the document on her desk. Her pen, tipped with crimson ink, hovered over the parchment, unmoving. I stood dead still in the shadow of a marble column, trying to look as boring and inanimate as possible. But inside my head, it was pure chaos. TSK, writer's block again? Is the paper on fire or something? How hard is it to just scribble approved? It's been 10 minutes. Anyone who knows what's going on would say you're reviewing a decree. Anyone else would think you're trying to figure out how to draw a turtle. I didn't dare even flick my eyes open. In the wavering light, the Empress's profile was sharp and severe, like it had been carved from ice. Majestic and utterly terrifying. Finally, her pen moved, but instead of signing the document, the tip of her pen glided across the blank space at the bottom. With a few deft strokes, a perfect, adorably grumpy-looking little turtle appeared in brilliant red ink. My eyes nearly popped out of my skull. Holy crap, are you serious? You actually drew a turtle. Is that an official imperial seal now? The Secretary of the Treasury is going to have an aneurysm when he sees this tomorrow. I had to physically fight to keep my face neutral, but I could feel a muscle in my cheek twitching uncontrollably. The Empress set her pen down softly and tapped the still wet ink of the tiny turtle with the tip of her finger. Did her lips just curve upward for a second? It was gone in a flash, as quick as the flicker of a candle flame. She lifted her head, her gaze sweeping across the vast, silent hall. I immediately lowered my chin to my chest and held my breath. Her eyes were cold, calculating. They finally landed on me. My heart seized. Why are you looking at me? Your Majesty, please look away. I don't have a turtle on my face. Oh God, did she somehow hear me making fun of her in my head? Serving a ruler is like living with a tiger. The old-timers weren't kidding. Alexandria's gaze lingered on my face for a moment too long. Her fingers tapped a slow, deliberate rhythm on the arm of her obsidian throne. Top, top, top. Every single sound landed directly on my frayed nerves. Ethan Cole, she said, her voice devoid of any warmth. Mom. I jolted, taking a half step forward. You stand there. She gestured with her chin toward a spot closer to her desk, bathed in the warm glow of the lamps. In the light. Yes, ma'am. I shuffled over obediently. What's this about? Am I too shady looking back there in the dark? Does she think I look like an assassin? God, trying to figure her out is impossible. I stood in my new spot, the heat of the lamps warming my cheeks. Outside, The distant chime of the water clock marked the passing hour. The night grew deeper. Suddenly, a sharp hiss sliced through the silence. Several dark glints of steel burst through the rice paper window, flying straight for the throne. The target was Alexandria, who was still focused on the document before her. It was too fast. Assassins. My brain went into overdrive, but my body was already moving. Pure instinct. I launched myself toward the throne. Your Majesty, get down. I yelled. My body aimed to slam into hers and knock her out of the way. In that split second, I saw the deadly glint coming straight for her face. Poison crossbow bolts. We're dead. In that infinitesimal moment, Alexandria moved. She didn't even glance in my direction. With a flick of her wrist, the heavy jade scepter that had been a mere decoration on her desk was in her hand. Clink, clink, clink. The crisp sounds blurred together. The jade scepter became a flash of white, a phantom in the air. She batted away every single poison bolt with impossible precision. The arrows scattered, clattering harmlessly to the floor. Her movements were as fluid and effortless as a river, possessed of a lethal grace, as if she were merely brushing away a few stray specks of dust. And me, in my heroic high-speed dive. Thud! I face-planted hard on the polished marble floor at her feet. A full-body slam. My cheek was pressed against the ice-cold stone. Damn it! That was pointless? With moves like that? Does she even need my help? This is the worst bodyguard gig ever. The boss handles the assassins herself? I feel so redundant. Your Majesty, a little heads up about your secret ninja skills would have been nice. My back. Ow! I think I pulled something. I lay there on the ground, completely stunned. Outside, the sound of shouting and clashing steel erupted as the Imperial Guard finally engaged the assassins. The sounds of chaotic battle raged outside, but inside the sanctum, it was dead silent. Alexandria looked down. Her eyes fell on me. They held a strange, unreadable glint. Was that curiosity? I scrambled, trying to get up. This is so embarrassing. Get up, you idiot. Your Majesty, please stop looking at me like that. It's creepy. My back. I definitely threw out my back. This tyrant, she's going to be the death of me. But still, my frantic movements paused. As I had lunged past her, my arm had brushed against something. It was soft, and it carried a faint, cool fragrance. Did I just graze the Empress's waist? It was so slender, a waist that thin. If one of those poison bolts had actually hit, it would have been a real shame for her to die. The thought sprouted like an uncontrollable weed in my mind, growing wild. I was so lost in it, I didn't notice the expression in the eyes staring down at me shift, becoming incredibly strange. Alexandria Thorne looked at me. I was sprawled at her feet in a pathetic heap. She said nothing. The air was so thick I could barely breathe. The captain of the Imperial Guard's frantic footsteps echoed from outside the hall. Your Majesty, the assassins have all been neutralized. The captain's voice cut off abruptly as he took in the bizarre scene. The Empress standing, the young guard lying on the floor. The atmosphere was indescribable. Alexandria finally moved. She ignored the captain outside. Instead, she slowly, deliberately bent down. She reached out a hand. It was a pale, slender hand, with the faint calluses of someone who spent their life holding both a pen and a sword. Her index finger and thumb closed precisely around my chin. The grip wasn't hard, but it held an authority that was impossible to resist. She forced my dust-streaked face up to meet hers. Her eyes, deep and dark as a starless night, perfectly reflected my own wide, terrified pupils. She leaned closer. Her warm breath ghosted over the tip of my nose. Her red lips parted, and she spoke a single sentence. Her voice wasn't loud, but it hit me like a thunderclap. I agree. The tips of her fingers traced the line of my jaw. A flicker of something I had never seen before, a rare, teasing smile, danced in her eyes. It would have been a terrible shame for her to die. My chin was still in her grip. Her touch was cool, the faint calluses a strange sensation against my skin. It felt like being licked by a snake. That phrase, it would have been a terrible shame, echoed in my skull, sending my world spinning. She knows. How does she know? I didn't say it out loud. This is impossible. It has to be a ghost. I'm dead, I'm so dead. Slandering the monarch. To her face. That's 100 beheadings right there. Your Majesty, please let me explain. No, let me make something up. All the blood rushed to my head, then drained away just as fast, leaving me dizzy and cold. My face must have been chalk white. I was frozen solid, a statue of pure terror. Alexandria let go. The lingering warmth of her fingers on my skin made me shudder. She straightened up, looking down at me from her full, intimidating height. The teasing smile was gone, replaced by that familiar, unreadable calm, as if her shocking words had just been a figment of my imagination. Get up, she said, her voice flat. Thank you, Your Majesty. My voice trembled as I scrambled to my feet, my knees still weak. The captain of the guard was still kneeling at the entrance to the hall, his head bowed, so low it nearly touched the floor. He wasn't even breathing loudly. Take him away. Investigate, Alexandria said, just 3 simple words without even glancing outside. As you command. The captain sounded like a man granted a pardon from death row. He waved his hand, and several guards rushed in, efficiently removing the dropped poison bolts and the bodies of the assassins. The hall was quickly restored to its previous state, except for the faint, lingering smell of blood in the air, and the frantic, thunderous beating of my own heart. Investigate the assassins. Shouldn't you be investigating me first, Your Majesty? All the treasonous stuff in my head. How much did you hear? Just put me out of my misery. Alexandria sat back down on her throne. She wasn't looking at the documents anymore. She wasn't looking at me, either. Her finger was tapping, lightly, on the little ink turtle she had drawn, now dry. Tap, talp, tap. Every tap felt like it was hitting my heart. Silence. A long, agonizing silence. I kept my head down, wishing I could melt into the floor. It's over. She's just deciding on the sentence. Is she debating how to execute me? Death by 1,000 cuts? The brazen bull? Drawn and quartered? Can I request a clean death, at least? Mom, Dad, your son has failed you. Just as I was mentally composing my own eulogy, Alexandria spoke again. Ethan Cole. Why, yes, ma'am. I flinched. Regarding today's events, she said, her voice impossible to read, you acted admirably to protect your Empress. Huh. I snapped my head up, my mind reeling in disbelief. Admirably. I face-planted on the floor. That's admirable? Your Majesty, are you delirious from the stress? Or is this sarcasm? Lull me into a false sense of security before you bring down the axe? The corner of Alexandria's mouth twitched, almost imperceptibly. She picked up a teacup from a side table and took a small sip. What reward would you like? She asked, setting the cup down, her eyes landing on me with a cool weight. A reward. No. I don't deserve a reward. Accepting a reward will only make my death faster. I just want to live. I dropped to my knees again with a thud. Your Majesty's divine grace is a shield unto itself. I merely acted on instinct. I dare not claim any merit. The honor of serving you is reward enough, Your Majesty. I wouldn't dare ask for more. I pressed my forehead to the cool marble floor. Just please forget what you heard in my head. I'll even give you my salary back. I'm begging you. Alexandria didn't speak. Her finger continued its soft tapping on the little turtle. After a long moment, she made a soft sound in her throat. You are dismissed. Yes. Thank you, Your Majesty. Granted another pardon, I scrambled up, bowing and backing away toward the door, my entire back drenched in a cold sweat. Just as I reached the massive doors, her voice came again from behind me, not loud but crystal clear. Tomorrow, on your shift, stand closer. My feet felt like they were nailed to the floor. Closer? You want me even closer? Today was almost fatal. What are you trying to do, Your Majesty? Do you think I've lived too long? Or do you want to keep listening to the garbage floating around in my head? I didn't dare turn around. My throat was sandpaper. As you command. My voice was a pathetic, shaky mess. I stumbled out of the sovereign's sanctum like a man fleeing a burning building. The cool night air hit my sweat-soaked back, chilling me to the bone. I leaned against the cold palace wall, gasping for breath, my heart still hammering against my ribs. Serving a ruler is like living with a tiger. They really weren't kidding. I'm not going to survive this job. The next day, the sunlight streaming into the grand chamber felt sharp and hostile. I I squared my shoulders, took a deep breath, and walked into the tense, suffocating atmosphere. The highest-ranking officials of the Empire stood in silent, rigid rows. The only sound was the rustle of silk and the strange sound of breathing. Empress Alexandria Thorne sat upon her magnificent throne, a high and distant figure. The beaded tassels of her formal crown veiled most of her expression, revealing only a tightly clenched jaw. The pressure in the room was so thick you could have cut it with a knife. Following last night's order, I took my position just to the side and slightly below the throne, at least 5 steps closer than my usual post. From here, I could see the slight tremor of the individual beads on her crown. This is the kill zone. I feel like just breathing is a capital offense. Her Majesty seems to be in a particularly bad mood today. Who pissed off the tyrant this time? The Secretary of War, a grim-faced man with graying hair, stepped forward, his movements stiff. He held a scroll of cloth stained dark with blood. Your Majesty, the old secretary's voice was thick with grief and fury. An urgent dispatch from the northern marches. 800 miles, day and night. The Iron Horde has attacked again. They've already broken through 3 of our border towns. The commanding officer, General Marcus Vance, was killed in action. This is the general's final report, written in his own blood. He held the blood-soaked cloth high, tears streaming down his weathered face. A wave of sharp, horrified gasps swept through the hall. The Iron Horde is back. Those damn wolves, General Vance. Gone? Damn it, he was a good man. A letter in blood. What does it say? I couldn't help but crane my neck, trying to get a look. Alexandria's voice sliced down from the throne, colder than a winter grave. Read it. A chamberlain scurried down, took the blood-soaked cloth, and unrolled it. His voice, laced with tears, trembled as he read. I, Marcus Vance, write this in blood and sorrow. The North is in peril. The Horde is savage, their cavalry a plague of locusts. The towns have fallen, our people weep. I have fought to my last, taken a dozen wounds, and fear I will not see the capital again. My only regret is that I cannot slay more of their chieftains. My death is nothing. I implore your Majesty to dispatch the Grand Army, annihilate these savages, reclaim our lands, or else. The chamberlain's voice choked with sobs, unable to continue. At the end of the letter, smeared in drying blood, were 3 massive, desperate words. Or else, we are lost. The last word was a long, jagged smear of blood, a final cry of despair. The hall fell into a dead silence. You could have heard a pin drop. A heavy blanket of grief and fear settled over the room. Several of the older ministers were already dabbing at their eyes with their sleeves, weeping quietly. Alexandria's hand, resting on the arm of her throne, slowly tightened into a fist. Her knuckles turned white. From behind the veil of beads, her eyes were like shards of ice, sweeping over the assembled officials. My lords, she began, her voice quiet but carrying a weight that crushed the air from everyone's lungs. The northern marches are burning. Who will go for me? Who among you will drive the Iron Horde back into the dust? Her voice echoed in the cavernous hall. No one answered. A silence as profound as death. In a military faction, the generals who were usually the loudest, the most boastful, now had their heads bowed low, looking as if they were trying to retract them into their uniforms like turtles. Cowards, they're all lions when it comes to fighting for promotions and funding. But when it's time to actually bleed, they turn into a bunch of quail. Did General Vance die for nothing? These useless bastards. A hot flash of anger surged through me. Alexandria's gaze seemed to drift, almost accidentally, over to where I was standing. Why are you looking at me? I don't know how to fight a war. Although, my eyes were fixed on that bloody cloth, and a thought began to form, unbidden. The Horde's tactics. They look overwhelming, smashing 3 towns in a row. But if you think about it, those are all small outposts. Easy to take, hard to defend. General Vance's main force. It seems like it's mostly intact, right? So where's the Horde's main army? Could it be a feint? They're deliberately making a huge scene in the north to draw our main army there. And then, their real target is at the lightly defended western granaries. The moment the thought solidified, a cold sweat broke out across my entire body. Holy crap, it's possible. Those sneaky wolves are playing dirty if they take out the granaries. What will our armies eat? The entire northern defense line will collapse. Someone has to warn her. I jerked my head up about to shout, but my eyes met hers. Through the curtain of beads, I saw those deep, unreadable eyes fixed directly on me. Her expression was a complex storm. There was shock, a razor-sharp focus, and something else. A flicker of understanding she was trying desperately to suppress. My heart stopped. Damn it, I forgot again. She can hear me. This stupid mouth of a brain. Is she going to think I'm just some crazy person spreading rumors? I'm dead. This time I'm really, really dead. I quickly bowed my head, wanting to slap myself. But Alexandria looked away. Her gaze returned to the silent, useless assembly of officials. She slowly unclenched her fist. Her fingers began to tap on the armrest. Top, top, top. A steady, even rhythm. It seems her voice dripped with icy sarcasm, that among all my decorated generals, not a single one dares to answer the call. The heads of the military men bowed, even lower. The Secretary of War, still weeping, spoke up. Your Majesty, it is not that the soldiers fear death, but the Horde's attack is unusual this time. The location of their main force is unknown. To hastily dispatch our army could be falling for a trap to lure the tiger from the mountain. Well, look at that. The old man's got some sense. He realized something was wrong, too. Although, it doesn't look like he's thought of the West yet. He knows it's a trap, but he doesn't know where the trap is sprung. This is killing me. The rhythm of Alexandria's tapping fingers sped up, just for a second. She was silent for a moment. In that case, she drew out the words. Every official held their breath. Issue the decree. General Donovan Briggs, the Bulldog of the North, is to take his 5 legions of elite cavalry and march at once. Reinforce the northern marches. You are to hold the Iron Horde at our border at all costs. Reclaim our lost territory. There will be no excuses. As the order was given, a mountain of a man with a thick, bushy beard strode out from the line of generals. It was Donovan Briggs. His voice boomed like a cannon. I accept the charge. I will not fail your Majesty. I will not return until every last one of those savages is dead. The declaration shook the very rafters of the hall. The Bulldog, General Briggs, is he the right choice? He's a beast in a straight fight, no doubt about that. Pure aggression. But he's also a blunt instrument, a total hothead. Light the fuse, and he explodes. If the Horde is really setting a trap, and we send this bull charging into the north to chew on a bone, then the West. Who's left to defend it? Your Majesty, please reconsider. My insides were twisted into knots of panic. Alexandria, however, acted as if she hadn't heard a thing. She looked at Briggs, her tone softening slightly. General Briggs, your courage is a balm to my heart. The War Department will ensure your supply lines have everything they need, without delay. The Secretary of War bowed low. As you command, Your Majesty. Court is dismissed, Alexandria said, rising from the throne. The beaded tassels swayed, hiding her face completely. Long live the Empress, the court officials chanted as one. I fell in step behind her chamberlains, following her as she left the grand chamber. We had just turned into the private colonnade behind the hall when the Empress, who had been walking with a powerful, determined stride, suddenly stopped. She shot out a hand, steadying herself against one of the red-lacquered pillars. Her shoulders were trembling slightly. Your Majesty, her lead handmaiden rushed forward in alarm. Alexandria raised her other hand, waving her away. She kept her head down. Her shoulders were shaking more violently now, as if she were trying to suppress something with all her might. What's wrong? Did the stress finally get to her? Or did holding back all that rage just now give her an ulcer? I told myself she shouldn't bottle up. See, now she's broken. Even tyrants are human, I guess. I thought to myself. Alexandria leaned against the pillar, taking a deep, shuddering breath. Then, slowly, she lifted her head. There was no pain on her face, no anger, only a bizarre, contorted expression. The corners of her mouth were pulled up, hard, as if she were smiling. But it also looked like she was fighting with every fiber of her being not to laugh. Her eyes were glistening. She glanced at me. Her eyes were shockingly bright. They held a strange emotion I couldn't decipher, a mixture of immense relief and excitement. Ethan, ma'am, I answer quickly. To the Imperial study. With me, she said. Her voice was unsteady, as if she was trying to keep it from trembling with suppressed emotion. Yes, ma'am. I followed, my mind a whirl of confusion. The study? Is she going to go draw more turtles? Or is this it? Is she finally going to punish me? In the grand chamber just now, my brain was running its mouth off, especially about that hothead, General Briggs. She definitely heard me. Alexandria walked quickly, her steps almost light. At the doors to the study, she dismissed all the servants and guards. Except me. The heavy doors swung shut, sealing us off from the rest of the world. Alexandria strode directly to a massive map that covered one wall, a detailed chart of the Ethelgard Empire and its neighbors. She stood with her back to me, and her shoulders began to shake again. And then, puffed, a sharp, clear, utterly unrestrained snort of laughter echoed in the vast, silent study. It was like a violin string stretched too tight had finally snapped. The hair on my arm stood on end. She laughed. Her Majesty. She actually laughed. Now, at a time like this, the North is on fire. General Vance is dead, and she's laughing. Has she gone insane? Or did I drive her insane? I stared at her back in utter horror. Alexandria spun around. The laughter was gone from her face, replaced by an Arctic frost. Her eyes were sharp as daggers, aimed straight at me. Ethan Cole. M.I.M. My knees went weak. In the grand chamber, just now, she advanced on me, every step landing on my heart. Did you call General Briggs? A blunt instrument. It's over. The bill has come due. I dropped to my knees with a thud. Your Majesty, forgive me. I misspoke. I deserve to die. I knew it. She heard me. She heard everything. Briggs is one of her favorite, most loyal generals, and I called him a blunt instrument. I basically signed my own death warrant. Alexandria stopped right in front of me, looming, misspoke. Her voice was dangerously soft. So in your heart, you don't think General Briggs is a reckless brute without a strategic bone in his body? Unfit for a critical command? HM. The final HM was an upward inflection, laced with deadly pressure. What am I supposed to say? If I tell the truth, I die faster. If I lie, she'll hear my real thoughts anyway. Either way, I'm dead. I gritted my teeth, ready to go down swinging. Your Majesty is wise. I forced myself to say, my voice ringing with false confidence. General Briggs is the bravest of the brave, a pillar of loyalty and strength. He is a bulwark of the Empire. My mouth was saying one thing, but my mind was wailing. He's brave, all right. He's also that dumb. Your Majesty. Sending him to smash his head against the main horde force in the north is fine. But what if they really are playing dirty and their main army is sneaking around to hit the western granaries? That brain of his. Is it going to process that in time? And who's in charge of the West again? I think it's some useless noble who got the job because of his grandfather. We're screwed. The granaries are doomed. My mind was a pit of despair. Alexandria stared down at me. She watched me for a long time. So long that the cold sweat soaking my undershirt began to feel icy. Just when I was sure she was about to order my execution, she spoke again. Her voice was calm and steady. Transmit a secret imperial decree by the fastest rider to the Western Provincial Command. I froze, looking up in confusion. She had already turned and walked to her desk. She picked up her pen, dipped it in the inkwell, and began writing furiously on a scroll of imperial yellow silk. Her characters were like iron hooks and silver strokes, radiating a murderous intent. To Governor Wallace of the Western Province. Effective immediately, all garrisons in your 3 prefectures are to be placed on the highest state of alert. Triple the guard at all granaries. Patrols will operate day and night without cease. If any Iron Horde scout parties are sighted within a 100-mile radius, you are authorized to engage and destroy without seeking further permission. Any who neglect their duty, delay military action, or spread dissent. Her pen paused and slammed down. Will be executed on the spot. Their families will be stripped of all titles and lands. Finished, she snatched a small golden seal and pressed it into the hot wax with a vicious thud. Thwack. The sharp sound was startlingly loud in the silent study. Go. Now. She rolled the decree, sealed it in a special brass tube, and handed it to the captain of her shadow guard, who had appeared silently at the door. Yes, your majesty. The captain vanished as quickly as he had appeared. Only then did Alexandria slowly sink back into her throne. She leaned back, letting out a long, slow breath, as if a mountain of weight had been lifted from her shoulders. And on her face, that strange, suppressed, almost painful smile appeared again. She looked at me, still kneeling on the floor, my mouth hanging open in shock. Her eyes were dazzlingly bright, and they held a bizarre sense of satisfaction. Ethan Cole. M.I.M. My voice was faint. Today, she drew out the word. My heart leaped into my throat. You stood your post well. After she said it, she finally lost her battle for control. She lifted a wide, silken sleeve to cover her mouth. Her shoulders began to shake violently. Muffled, suppressed laughter escaped from behind the sleeve, broken and breathless. P-if-if. Ha. Ah. In the vast, silent study, it was horrifyingly clear. I knelt on the cold floor, completely and utterly dumbfounded. Stood my post well. That's it. Her Majesty. She has definitely, completely lost her mind. The war in the north raged on. The atmosphere in the court remained thick with tension. Empress Alexandria sat on her throne, her face a mask of cold concentration. After dealing with the urgent military dispatches, the Minister of Protocol, an old, quavering man, stepped forward. Your Majesty, the delegation from the southern kingdom of Solis has arrived at the embassy. Their prince is leading it personally, and he brings with him priceless treasures. And, he stammered, his old face flushing red. And what? Alexandria's voice was ice. And their kingdom's most handsome man, a Mr. Julian Valerius. To serve your Majesty. The minister's voice trailed off into a whisper. The hall fell dead silent. You could have heard a rat sneeze. Every minister in the room subtly shifted their gaze toward the throne. You gotta be kidding me. The honey trap is the kingdom of Solis out of its mind, sending a man to the tyrant empress. Do they have a death wish? My inner monologue was going berserk. Alexandria said nothing. She just tapped a finger on the arm of her throne. Admit them was all she said. Soon, the great doors swung open. The Solis delegation entered in a procession. The man at its head was dressed in fine silks, his bearing regal. This was the prince. Behind him walked a man in a simple white tunic. He was tall and slender, with a face so beautiful it was almost unnatural. His eyes, in particular, were almond-shaped and devastatingly charming. With a single glance, he captured the attention of the entire hall. Holy, he is ridiculously good-looking. Is that face even real? Even I couldn't help but stare. The Prince of Solis bowed deeply. Prince Darius of Solis greets the Empress of Ethelgard. We present our kingdom's greatest treasures, and Mr. Valerius, we hope they are to your Majesty's liking. He clapped his hands. Servants brought forward several heavy chests, which they opened to reveal a blinding hoard of jewels and gold. Julian Valerius stepped forward and gave a slight, graceful bow. His voice was smooth and musical. Julian, at your Majesty's service. He lifted his eyes, looking directly at Alexandria on her throne. His gaze was intense, overflowing with a carefully crafted passion. Yikes! That guy would win an Oscar. Please don't tell me the Empress is actually going to fall for this. I mean, he is inhumanly handsome. I started to get nervous. Alexandria's gaze drifted over the chests of treasure without interest. Finally, it landed on Julian's face. Her expression was blank. The prince is too kind, she said, her voice flat. Prince Darius's face lit up. A faint, confident smile played on Julian's lips. It worked? Even the tyrant empress has a weakness for pretty boys? No way. Wait a minute, this Julian guy. Something's wrong. His right pinky finger. Why is it curled like that? That specific posture. I've seen it before. It's from the Shadow Guard training manuals. It's the secret signal for the Serpent Guild spies. Oh crap. He's a spy. He's definitely a spy. Your Majesty. Run. It's a trap. Warning bells were screaming in my head. I want to tackle him right there. But Alexandria remained seated, calm as a statue. She even picked up her teacup and took a slow, deliberate sip. She set the cup down. Her eyes fell once more on Julian's devastatingly handsome face. She looked him up and down. Her scrutiny seemed to make Julian smile even more confident. Then, the Empress's red lips parted. She spoke 3 words, clear as a bell. He's too ugly. I nearly choked on my own spit. What? Too ugly? Are you serious, Your Majesty? Are your standards for beauty forged in the heart of a dying star? The entire court, including Prince Darius, stared in stunned silence. Everyone thought they had misheard. The confident smile on Julian's face froze. Then it cracked. Then it twisted into a mask of pure disbelief. Alexandria acted as if she hadn't noticed. She waved a dismissive hand, like she was shooing away a fly. Her tone was as casual as if she were discussing the weather. Take him away. Execute him. He offends my eyes. Boom! The grand chamber erupted in chaos. Prince Darius's face was ashen. Your Majesty, what were you saying? Mr. Valerius is the most handsome man in all of Solis. You. Alexandria didn't even bother to look at him. The most handsome man. She scoffed. That, your kingdom of Solis. Her gaze swept over Darius's terrified face. Ran out of people. Take him away. The Imperial Guard moved like wolves, seizing the stunned Julian. No, Your Majesty. Mercy. Julian finally snapped out of it, his voice a terrified shriek. My prince. Prince Darius, help me. Darius was trembling, trying to speak, but when he met Alexandria's glacial stare, the words died in his throat. All he could do was watch as Julian was dragged from the hall. His screams were cut off abruptly. A dull, heavy sound echoed from outside. The chamber was silent again, the kind of silence that presses down on you. Every minister was frozen in fear. The Solis delegation looked like they'd seen a ghost. Alexandria leaned back in her throne, looking almost bored. Prince Darius. The prince flinched. Why, yes, Your Majesty. Go back and tell your father. Alexandria's voice was quiet, but it carried a deadly chill. If you want to send gifts, he should send something useful. Grain, steel, war horses. I can always use more of those. But if he sends any more of these... She paused, the corner of her mouth twisting into a cruel smile. These useless, decorative things. For every one he sends, I will execute one. Do you understand? Darius fell to his knees with a thud, sweat pouring down his face. Igriagis. I understand. Your Majesty. Then get out. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Your Majesty. Thank you. Darius scrambled to his feet and practically ran from the hall, his terrified delegation stumbling after him. The chamber returned to its oppressive silence. Alexandria's gaze drifted slowly over to where I was standing. The corner of her mouth seemed to twitch upward, just for a second, so fast I thought I'd imagined it. Your Majesty, your reasons for executing people are certainly unique, but good call. Spies deserve to die still. What a waste of a good face. Alexandria suddenly spoke. Ethan, Mom. I flinched. Do you think, her voice was laced with amusement, that I made the right decision? Oh no, a trick question. How do I answer this? My scalp prickled. Your Majesty is wise and all-seeing. A man with such treacherous intentions deserved his fate. I laid the praise on thick. But in my head I was thinking it was the right call. But did you have to call him ugly? That feels unnecessarily brutal. Even if he was a spy. Alexandria let out a soft "oh," drawing out the sound. So you think he wasn't ugly? She leaned forward slightly, her eyes locking onto mine, sharp and probing. Again, Your Majesty, please give me a break. How am I supposed to answer that? If I say he wasn't ugly, you just executed him. If I say he was ugly, my conscience will scream. Cold sweat trickled down my back. I think. I stammered. But then, Alexandria smiled. Not a cold smile. Not a sarcastic smile. It was a genuine, can't hold it anymore smile. Her shoulders were shaking. That's enough. She waved her hand. Just stand your post. And in that head of yours. She paused, glancing at me. Try to think less nonsense. She can definitely hear me. She even heard me thinking it was a waste of a good face. I'm so dead. Serving a ruler is like living with a tiger. The old-timers were not kidding. The war in the north was a stalemate. General Briggs was a bulldog, all right, holding back the main horde army with sheer ferocity. But then a new crisis fell upon the land. Drought. A 3-year drought that was only getting worse. The land was cracked and barren for 1,000 miles. Rivers ran dry. Fields turned to dust. Rumors of famine and starvation were trickling into the capital. The mood in the grand chamber was suffocating. The royal astronomer, a man so old he looked like a walking skeleton, stepped forward, trembling. "Your Majesty," he cried, his voice filled with anguish. "This great drought is a punishment from the heavens. It is because since Your Majesty took the throne." He didn't dare finish the sentence, instead collapsing to his knees. "I beg you, Your Majesty, issue a decree of penance. And you must personally ascend the celestial altar to offer prayers, to beg for rain, to appease the heavens, to calm the people." He knocked his head against the marble floor, a purple bruise instantly appearing on his forehead. "We support this petition. We implore Your Majesty to issue a decree of penance and pray for rain." With a great rustle of silk, the entire block of civil ministers knelt as one, their faces masks of tragic gravity. The military officials just looked at each other, saying nothing. A decree of penance, praying for rain. What a load of crap. How is it the Empress's fault that it hasn't rained? These stubborn old fools. All they know how to do is this pointless ceremonial garbage. With all this energy, they could be figuring out a water diversion plan. I was fuming internally. Alexandria sat on her throne, her face hidden behind the beaded crown. I couldn't see her expression, but the hand resting on the armrest was clenched so tightly her knuckles were white. She was barely containing her rage. A decree of penance. Her voice was glacial. "What sin have I committed?" The royal astronomer looked up, tears streaming down his face. "Your Majesty, the heavens themselves are sending us a warning. The people are terrified. If it does not rain soon, I fear there will be chaos. The empire is at stake. For the sake of the empire, Your Majesty, for the common people, please issue the decree." He slammed his forehead against the floor again, drawing blood this time. "Please issue the decree and pray for rain." The ministers chanted, their voices shaking the hall. "Praying is useless. If they can make it rain by praying, I'll eat my own boots. A 3-year drought is a climate problem. You think begging the sky is the answer? They'd be better off saving the incense money and organizing a workforce to dig a canal, divert water from the Great Southern River. It's a massive undertaking, but it's a long-term solution. It's better than kneeling and begging. These idiots." I was practically screaming in my own head. Alexandria was silent. A dead, heavy silence, filled only by the strained breathing of the kneeling ministers. After a long time, so long that everyone assumed the Empress was about to explode with rage, she slowly rose to her feet. The beads of her crown swayed. "Phoenix." She said only one word. Her voice betrayed no emotion. The ministers looked up, stunned, then overjoyed. "Your Majesty is wise and benevolent." The royal astronomer was shaking with relief. "Your Majesty's virtue will move the heavens. The rain will surely come." "Are you kidding me? Your Majesty. You actually bought it? You're going to go pray for rain?" "No. You're so brilliant and decisive. How can you believe in this nonsense?" I was crushed with disappointment. Alexandria raised a hand, silencing the cheers. "Since you all believe." Her voice was calm. "That praying for rain is the most urgent task before us." "Very well." Her tone shifted abruptly, becoming hard as steel. "Issue the decree, effective immediately. Every official in this empire, 5th rank and above, civilian or military, every single one of you, will be issued." She flung her arm out, pointing toward the doors of the hall, as if pointing to the parched, dying land itself. Her voice rose to a thunderous command that tolerated no argument. "A shovel, and you will all go and dig a canal." The last 3 words were like a lightning strike. They detonated in the silent grand chamber. They turned every kneeling minister to stone. Their faces were comical masks of disbelief. The joyous expression on the royal astronomer's face froze, then shattered into utter shock. Your Majesty? What? What did you say? A canal? He thought he must have heard wrong. Alexandria stared down at him with cold contempt. Are you deaf? I said dig a canal. Divert the southern river. And in the northern drought. Do you understand me? Her gaze swept over the sea of dumbfounded faces. As for praying, I prove that as well. Royal astronomer. You, take your men. Go to the celestial altar and pray. Pray hard. And if the rains don't come, her voice turned bone-chillingly cold. Then you'll all kneel there until you die. Now, get out of my sight. Go. Day. And if anyone is caught slacking. She paused, then uttered two final words. Off with their head. Chaos. The ministers were completely stunned. They scrambled out of the hall, tripping over each other, their faces still blank with shock and confusion. In an instant, the grand chamber was empty. It was just me and Alexandria. She sank back on her throne, looking weary. She raised a hand and rubbed the bridge of her nose. Dig a canal. Your Majesty. You are incredible. Yes, this is how it's done. Praying is useless. Action is everything. You're a genius. Long live the Empress. I was so excited I could barely contain myself. I wanted to jump up and down. Alexandria lowered her hand. Her tired gaze fell upon me, and that familiar, strange, suppressed smile touched her lips again. Ethan, ma'am. My voice was loud and clear. You seem excited, she said, raising an eyebrow. Duh, how could I not be? That was the most epic power move I've ever seen. I quickly schooled my expression into something more dignified. I am overjoyed by your Majesty's wise and decisive leadership. I am thrilled for the good fortune of the people. Alexandria snorted softly. Such a flatterer. Come closer. Grind the ink for me. Yes, ma'am. I hurried forward, my heart pounding. Your Majesty, you heard me again, didn't you? I snuck a glance at her. She was already spreading a new document on her desk. The red-tipped pen hovered for a moment. Her profile, in the soft light of the study, seemed to have softened. Just a little. The lamps in the imperial study burned bright, pushing back the deep night. Alexandria was still working, plowing through a mountain of official documents. I stood beside her, silently grinding a fresh ink stick. It's past midnight. Isn't she going to sleep? Even an iron can't hold up forever. This tyrant, she works way too hard. There will always be more paperwork. Your body is more important. Sigh. I lamented silently. Alexandria finally set down her pen and rubbed her temples. Wine, she commanded in a low voice. Her handmaiden immediately presented a white jade decanter and a small cup. She poured for herself and drank. One cup, then another. She drank quickly, with a kind of frustrated energy, as if trying to wash away the day. Don't drink so much. Straight liquor on an empty stomach. It'll tear you up. You're just going to have a massive headache tomorrow. How can I stop her, living with a tiger? I was frantic with worry, but didn't dare say a word. I could only watch. Soon, the decanter was empty. A flush of crimson spread across Alexandria's pale cheeks. Her eyes began to lose their focus, that sharp, icy edge dulling into a hazy softness. She propped her head on her hand, her finger tracing idle circles on a document. Ethan, she said suddenly, her voice husky and languid with drink. Ma'am, I answered instantly. You. She lifted her head, her drunken eyes trying to focus on me. Come here. Yes, ma'am. I took 2 cautious steps closer. She shot her hand out and grabbed my wrist. Her grip was surprisingly strong. And hot. I jumped, startled. Your Majesty. She yanked. Caught completely off guard, I stumbled forward, crashing over the massive desk. Documents scattered everywhere, ink splashing across the fine wood. Your Majesty. Forgive me. I was mortified, trying to push myself up, but Alexandria leaned over me, pinning me down. The heavy scent of whiskey washed over me, along with a powerful, intimidating presence I had never felt from her before. She braced her hands on either side of my head, trapping me between her body and the cold surface of the desk. Her beautiful, intoxicated face was inches from mine, so close I could see the tremor of her long eyelashes. so close I could feel her warm breath ghosting across my cheek, tickling me. My heart rate shot into the stratosphere. Blood roared in my ears. This is it, I'm going to die. Your Majesty, you're drunk. Snap out of it. It's me, Ethan, your lowly guard. I'm not one of your consorts. Oh God, drunk and disorderly. I'm going to be a historical footnote of tragedy. I was petrified, trying desperately to squirm away, my back pressed hard against the cold desk with nowhere to go. Alexandria's hazy, dark eyes stared into mine, unblinking. She watched me for a long time, her expression a confusing mix of curiosity, confusion, and a deep, profound weariness. And was that dependence? She finally spoke, her voice soft, laced with drunkenness and a hint of something I couldn't quite place. Was it vulnerability? Ethan, your thoughts. She lifted a finger. The cool tip of it pressed, unexpectedly, against my chest, right over my heart, through the thin fabric of my uniform. Are so loud. Her fingertip seemed to feel the frantic, wild beating of my heart. Thump, 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 thump. They're so loud. She furrowed her brow, as if complaining. They keep me awake. Boom! A million fireworks exploded in my brain. My mind went completely blank. She heard me. She can really hear me. She's been able to hear me all along, all the complaints, all the insults, all the stupid little jokes. She knows everything. A wave of terror unlike anything I'd ever known seized me. It was worse than any assassin's blade. The fear of being exposed. It turned my blood to ice. Why, your Majesty. My voice was a ragged mess. I deserve to die. I'll be quiet. I'll leave now. I won't disturb you. I used every ounce of strength I had to try and push her away to escape this waking nightmare. But Alexandria didn't budge. She just looked at my terrified face, at my pale, trembling lips, at my pupils dilated with pure fear. And then she laughed. Not a cold laugh, not a mocking laugh. It was a real, genuine, unrestrained laugh of pure delight. It was like a frozen river cracking in the spring, like the sun breaking through the clouds. Her eyes crinkled, her lips pulled back into a dazzling smile, revealing a flash of white teeth. Her laughter was clear and bright, colored with the laziness of drink and an indescribable sense of joy. Ha, ha, ha. She laughed so hard her whole body shook, her weight pressing down on me, making it hard to breathe. The jeweled tassels in her hair brushed against my cheek, an agonizing tickle. Be quiet. She finally caught her breath, her eyes shimmering with drunken amusement. She lowered her head, bringing her lips close to my ear. Her warm, whiskey-scented breath washed over the sensitive shell of my ear, sending shivers down my spine. But the words she whispered were a thunderbolt that shattered all my fear and denial. I give you permission to be loud for a lifetime. My little guard. As the last word left her lips, all the strength seemed to drain out of her. Her head lolled to the side, and her entire body went limp, collapsing fully on top of me. She was a warm, heavy weight, smelling of clean linen and strong whiskey. And she was sound asleep, her breathing soft and even. I lay there, frozen on the cold, hard desk, with the most powerful woman in the empire passed out on my chest. And in my mind, over and over, her last words echoed. Permission to be loud for a lifetime. A lifetime. Outside, the moonlight was like liquid silver. The night wind was cool. The distant water clock dripped. Drip, drip, just like my heart. For a long, long time, it refused to be calm.